Greetings, everyone. It's Thunder, the Desert Shaman, here in Sandy Valley, Nevada. Beautiful day, actually. Finally, getting some sun, warming up a little. Not too much, just nice and temperate. I want to talk about Trump's foreign policy. I watched the address to Congress the other night, and I sat on the edge of my seat because I was waiting for him to say something about Russia. And a lot of people say that, that was a very, very good speech. And it was. It was an excellent speech. And he hit a lot of good points. But he didn't hit the point that I wanted to hear, which is about Russia, which is about extending an olive branch to Russia. Now, in his campaign, he campaigned and talked about normalizing relationships with Russia. He talked about Crimea. He said that Crimea wasn't a sticking point. He talked about using Russia as an ally to fight ISIS. He talked about a lot of things that had to do with Russia. Now, I understand that the media has been coming down on him like a ton of bricks about supposed relations with Russia or behind the scenes relations with Russia or Russia stealing the election and Russia this and Russia that. We understand that that's a deep state. We understand that that's the neocons. That's the ex-Hillary crew, the ex-Obama crew, the George Soroses. We understand that they are trying to put a wrench in the works, so to speak, as far as Donald Trump's administration having any kind of normalization with Russia. It's sad because this is what I wanted to see. Now, some say that Trump's taking a strategic tack here. In other words, he realizes that Russia is a big sore point, a big sticking point, a big issue that the false media with their fake news has created. So he has to work around it somehow. He has to keep a low profile, and maybe that's why he didn't mention reaching out to Russia or reaching out to any nation. He touched on it just a little bit. Just a little bit about being friends with foreign countries. He didn't really say Russia. So you got to wonder what's going on, because a lot of people say that he's surrounded himself with people that are of the old mindset. In other words, the people that were warmongers, okay, neocons, the old mindset, the old Obama mindset. I get shivers every time I think about Obama. I get shivers every time I think about Kerry. I get shivers every time I think about Victoria Nuland, who orchestrated a coup in Kiev. See, there's another sticking point. There's another situation that's hanging out there, and that's Ukraine. And I just wonder if Trump knows the truth about all these things, because he lets people say things, okay, like his UN ambassador Nikki Haley. She's just a dyed-in-the-wool bitch, if you ask me. She's a dyed-in-the-wool neocon from the old administration's viewpoint, talking about, oh, Russia should give back Crimea, and that's just old shit that it doesn't even wash anymore. Crimea voted democratically to rejoin Russia. See, Ukraine was all in the Soviet Union at one time, and there's a lot of Russian-speaking people there. So Ukraine voting to go back to Russia is not that big a fucking deal. Look at what they were faced with. This Victoria Nuland, who was the Assistant Secretary of State under Obama, fomented a revolution, fomented an uprising using Nazi nationalist thugs, murderers, to overthrow a duly elected president in Kiev. Now, when that happened, they put in their puppet, Poroshenko, and that caused a division between Ukraine right down in the middle, with the eastern part of Ukraine being Donetsk and Donbass, and them automatically being labeled terrorists, okay, because they're fighting for their freedom. But in the mix also was Crimea, okay. Crimea was in that mix, and Crimea was where the Russian seaport is, the Black Sea port, which is vital to Russia's national security interests, and that's why the whole coup happened in Ukraine, because they thought they were going to take over Crimea. And Putin had 25,000 troops in Crimea by legal authority to have them there because of the seaport. Long story short, they backed down, the Ukraine, on taking Crimea, because Crimea had a referendum and voted to go back with Russia, okay? And so Russia didn't steal Crimea, didn't annex Crimea. So I know I digress a little here, but I thought I'd have to explain that situation, because Trump, before the election, as he was on the campaign trail, looked like he understood, okay, that situation was not anything having to do with Russia being at fault or anything like that. So now that he's in office, he's got this all these neocon dipshits, okay, that I don't know how they got in there. Probably through his chief of staff, this guy named Priebus, who is basically been labeled a traitor, okay, or a traitor at least to Trump's administration. Because instead of getting people in there that followed what Trump, that, you know, will follow what Trump said during the elections, you got people that are going with the old way of doing things. No, we don't need that fucking old way of doing things. Now, when Trump talks about his domestic policies, about work and bringing jobs back and making America great again, he even talked about Harley Davidson, which is great, because I ride a Harley, so. And it is one of the last true American factories made in USA. When he talks about all that stuff, it's all good, but the thing is any of that shit going to matter if we have nuclear war with Russia? Is any of this stuff going to matter if we're on the brink of nuclear war? Not really. So that's why I like to look at the big picture, and I like to look at the situation and think, well, why aren't we reaching out to Russia? And then we have the stance on Iran, which is an adversarial stance. And that's not good, because Iran is allied with Russia fighting ISIS in Syria, and they're doing a damn fucking good job. Yet Trump says he wants to align with Russia and fight ISIS. See, this really gets sticky, because the United States is the one that created ISIS. They created and funded and sent weapons to the terrorist groups in Syria as part of a plan to overthrow Assad. And what happened? Well, ISIS got out of control. The monster got out of control. And so who had to go in and take them to task and fight them, and is doing a damn good job? Well, Russia, that's who. They have one of the finest militaries in the world. They're probably way ahead of us in certain areas. So we've had this constant thorn in the side of the USA, the people that are into hegemony and controlling states and overthrowing sovereign leaders of sovereign governments and encroaching on sovereign government soil. And we've had this for a long time. It's pretty entrenched. And I was just hoping, that when Trump got in, maybe it's going to take a while, but I don't cut anybody any slack. I've said positive things about Trump, and yes, he has done a lot of positive things, and yes, maybe he is, against the deep state, but it remains to be seen. You can't trust anybody. You can't trust anybody in politics. You can't trust anybody that is involved in government. So do I think he's the lesser of the two evils between Hillary and him? Well, hell yes. Are you kidding me? We were on the brink of nuclear war with Hillary, and she's just the worst you could imagine. But just because the worst isn't there doesn't mean it still isn't bad somewhat. It still isn't entrenched. And I think that things are still going to heat up as far as this internal struggle, this internal coup that's going on between Trump and the powers to be in the intelligence agency and the old way of doing things. But, I would like to see Trump take off the gloves, with these assholes. So I'm saying to you, Donald, it's time to take off the gloves, Now, I know you're doing it with the media, and you've done some really, really good stuff with that, talking about how they're the ones that are purveyors of fake news and how they're the ones that are the liars. I honor you for that, because that is so fucking true. You need to go one step further, though, and maybe just take off the gloves, and beat the fuck out of these neocons that are trying to beat you down, and reach a hand out to Russia and make them an ally like they were in World War II. They were the best fighters you could ever imagine. They gave more and actually won World War II. 27 million people died. How many people died from the United States in World War II? 500,000 or something? I don't know. But we need to reach out to Russia and make this a bipolar world, with the Eurasian culture and, including Russia and the Western culture. We need to reach out and unify and be partners, true partners, like Putin says a lot of times. He'll call the USA partners. This is what we need to do. Trump needs to take off the gloves and take out these fucking idiots that are trying to keep the old way of doing things. Now, is he going to do it in a silent, covert way? Is he going to seem like he's going along with them and then slowly shift things to his agenda? Well, that might be a smart thing, and I hope that that's what he's doing. So if he's taking off the gloves silently, well, I honor him for that. But it remains to be seen. There's a few other things that that bother me about Trump, with the Dakota Access Pipeline and the maybe a stance on drugs. Hopefully he is for legalization of marijuana. I'm not sure. It's legalized here in Nevada, and I don't want the feds fucking with that. So anyway, just some thoughts on what I'm seeing going down here. Things could get worse. I don't think things have really gotten all that much better yet. It's too early to tell. And the deep state might have something up their sleeve as far as giant protests this summer, continuing to work to sabotage Trump's administration. But I hope that the New York boy comes out and swinging, okay? And I hope that he's educated enough about these issues in foreign policy and what's really going on with, say, quote unquote, Crimea and the rest of the stuff. I'm sure that either his daughter or his son-in-law or somebody knows this shit. Let's hope so, huh? Let's hope for the best. In the meantime, don't get too attached to this because it is all something that's not worth losing sleep over. I just like to look at things from a strategic point of view because I am a strategist and I am a martial artist. And it's an interest to me, and it's kind of an interest to me to see which way the wind's blowing here. As a wisdom keeper of the planet, it is imperative that I keep an eye on things and report some real news or some truth as I see it. Because just as a last thought here, the mainstream media is falling, the legacy, the historical media is falling because they have been branded the liars that they are. And the YouTubers like myself or anybody that has written a book, which I've written 3 books, anybody that has done that is part of the press. You don't need a little card. You don't need to get a degree in journalism or anything. No, anybody that has published material, especially anybody like myself who has published material, is considered a member of the press. So you'd be best to watch this channel as opposed to the mainstream media who will just lie to you night and day. And if I have any recommendation at all, it would be to trash any newspaper like USA Today, cancel your subscription to the purveyors of lies like the New York Times and the Washington Post. Don't watch any kind of TV whatsoever. It's all a scam as far as the news goes. It's all state-born, intelligent-born propaganda. So keep that in mind. Boycott the liars and buy into the YouTubers because they're trying to get rid of us. There's already an attack on us, okay? And there's already an attack on social media because that is a bastion of freedom, okay? And it's a bastion of a way to for people to hook up, communicate, and start a movement. They don't want that. Anyway, I'll leave it there today. Food for thought. Thank you. Adios.